one thing that actually is going on all the time is consciousness or awareness. And we are not actually considering that aspect of ourselves. And this is the aspect that brings in the concept spirit. It's really through getting in touch with our consciousness. The field of knowing is very broad. So it's beyond the mind, because the mind is an experience in consciousness, in the field, in the huge broad field of being. Then the mind comes in and there's thoughts and they're boop, 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 gone, boop, 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 gone, boop, 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 gone, boop, 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 experience, gone, experience, gone, come gone, come gone. And in all that going, all that motion, all that life, all that activity, cooking dinner, putting your clothes on, going to work, doing your work, it's all happening in a permanent, still field of awareness. Now, what happens to the human being? There's a human being, and the human being is, let's say, totally identified with the mind, which is that boom, 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 boom. Okay, it starts, okay, boom, 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 boom. Stop. Okay, gotta start now. Boom, 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 boom. Totally identified with the concepts, totally identified with the experience of mind, the thinking, the running around. Okay, and then it's in the body too, and you're feeling it in the emotion. So if there's all this running around, and then totally identified with the body, which is, you see it born, you see it die. Very anxious concept, this idea that I am a temporary form with a birth and a death. That's a nightmare from the word get-go. I mean, from the go.
Right.
So you got a nightmare you're identified with. I mean, a scary situation, only so much time. And then a frenetic living
and very disjointed, in other words, like if it starts and stops and starts and stops, that there's no wholeness or nothing that really ties it together. It's just, maybe there's a sense of identity that says that's me doing all these things. But
well, you can imagine when you are identified primarily with these two basic things, body and mind, it's not that unreasonable that your life doesn't look a little bit like I'm mimicking here, a little bit like
out of balance, right? Easily
like
to go out of
balance.
Movement
and maybe some anxiety and alert, and it's totally based on activity, because without all that, when you think you're the mind, you think you're the body, you need the mind operating in order to actually have a sense of existence. Because if it were doing nothing, you think you're the mind and it's doing nothing, you're not even there. You're not even, that's what, boredom, I need some activity, come on.
Right.
I mean, you can't leave me in boredom. I'm not even here in boredom. I need some activity. But what happens when we, I want to move past this now.
Yeah, right.
What happens when we move to the field of awareness and we recognize that behind all of life's forms, moving, motion forms, beyond all of life's beginnings and endings is a continuum, a permanence, an eternal presence, a timeless presence. In other words, you might want to time your experience from beginning to end, and then once it's over, call it past, and then once it hasn't been completed, call it future. Okay, that's fine. That's the mind's idea of time. But then behind that, there is this non-moving, non-experiential, something behind. It's the seer, the perceiver, never seen itself, never perceived itself, because it's beyond something that can be perceived, because it perceives all. See, it has to go so far back that it can't be touched, because it can't be touched. It's the one that is knowing all of the touchable things, all of the formable things. It's the one that knows life.
So then we can't get in touch with that, or we can't know it.
We can't hold it in our hand.
Can't hold it in our hand. No. So then basically what we have to do is do some experiments and just...
Well, basically what we have to do is intuitively be in touch with it, because it's the ground. It's like it's the ground that life is displaying on. Now the crazy thing is that it's not form, so that makes it difficult for the mind to understand what I'm talking about. But it's not experientially, it's not difficult for you, it's not difficult for me, it's not difficult for anyone to experience directly. And we can do it right now on camera. All we have to do is just take one moment to just be what we are in that sense, and that is aware.
So we're still in our body because there's feelings. You can just feel.
Yeah, we're just including a dimension that has been beyond our recognition. We're including consciously the deeper aspects of what is already here. Of course the experiences are here. We're not denying the experiences. We're not denying the sensory experience of the body. We're not denying the intelligences that are coming through, the information that's coming through smell, through touch, through taste, through sight, through hearing. We're not denying the sensory experience. We're not denying the thinking experience, the idea that thoughts have a utility and a structure and a mechanism. We're not denying that. But what we are now seeing is that who we are, once we recognize the deeper dimension of ourself, the formless knowing dimension, the awareness dimension, the awareness of spirit, the consciousness, once we know that and include that into our self, see, our self is, okay, body, mind, fine, nothing wrong there as far as you go now, but complete it, finish it, add in the rest, and the rest is a lot. The rest is an enormous amount that we really might want to consider adding. The awareness. In a sense, we're adding the universe. All that we are conscious of.
Beloved calls you here today.